How do you see Ladakh and Manipur protests? Were they part of larger toolkit plan?
Okay, yeah. So let's discuss these separately. Manipur and Ladakh are separate issues. Let's deal with Ladakh first, like you said. So Ladakh, what happened in 2019 is that you had the reorganization of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh was designated as a separate union territory. So historically, Ladakh was ruled from Srinagar or in Jammu, depending on what time of the year we're talking about. And the politicians who dominated Jammu and Kashmir before 2019 were the small number of politicians who live in the Kashmir Valley. And all of the funding, everything that came into the state was essentially allegedly absorbed by these politicians, and it served their interests and agendas. And Ladakh was marginalized. Now, after 2019, after the reorganization of the state and the abrogation of Article 370, Ladakh has become a union territory. And now there are two bodies in Ladakh, Leh Apex something, and there's a Kargil body also, who are protesting, and they are demanding that Ladakh should get statehood. First of all, secondly, that the sixth schedule of the sixth schedule should be applied to Ladakh, and there should be a Ladakh Union Public Service Commission, and so on. So they have a number of demands. Statehood. Now, if you give Ladakh statehood, does it make sense? It has a population between 3 to 5 lakhs. Tiny population and an extremely sensitive border region of our country. It borders Chinese-occupied Tibet, where you have a significant Chinese military buildup. And we need complete control over this territory, right? So one demand is statehood, like I said. Secondly is sixth schedule. So the sixth schedule is currently applied to states like Assam, like Tripura, Meghalaya, Mizoram. I think these are the 4 states where it's applied. And what the sixth schedule does is that it allows local bodies to control what happens, to first of all prevent the influx of outsiders in these states or territories. Secondly, they allow the local bodies to safeguard the ecology, the ecosystem, the forests, rivers, all of that of that territory. So in case somebody wants to build a road or a tunnel or a railway network in the state, then you have to take the permission of the autonomous bodies and so on. If you do that to Ladakh, if you bring Ladakh under the sixth schedule, what happens to the Border Roads Organization, which is doing incredible service to the nation by constructing all the highways along the border regions, which are critical to our national security? Now, in case we apply the sixth schedule to Ladakh, then various local bodies will be able to control what happens. They'll be able to block development if they want, which is critical to our national security. Right? So it's a very problematic thing. Ladakh Public Service Commission, I think it makes sense. We should have it. So some demands make sense. Some demands are very problematic. We have Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, who is spearheading this movement, the protests against the government, the various hunger strikes. There was violence also that happened recently. And Mr. Sonam Wangchuk is a recipient of the Magsaysay Award. So you see the West, so I'm not alleging that that he definitely is a foreign agent, but you will see that there's a pattern. The Magsaysay Award, the Nobel Peace Prize, these two awards are given either for services rendered to the West or for services that will in the future be rendered to the West. For example, Mohammed Yunus, he was given the Nobel Peace Prize. At that time, he was the founder of Grameen Bank. And the Grameen Bank actually is known to have been very hard on people who had taken those micro loans. And, to get the loans back, you use all kinds of nasty methods. So the Grameen Bank was known for that. And yet this guy was given the Nobel Peace Prize. And then he was later weaponized by making him whatever position he occupies in Bangladesh. Chief advisor. Whatever that means. It's not a democratic position. So he now serves Western interests in Bangladesh, right? Similar to the way the Pakistani military serves Western interests in Pakistan. Earlier Chinese interests between 2012 to 2022. So Mohammed Yunus is one example. Secondly, there's this lady whose name I can't recall, she's from Venezuela, who has been given the Nobel Peace Prize this year. And she is an outspoken proponent of US taking over Venezuela.
Opposition leader of Venezuela.
They position her as an opposition leader. Does she actually enjoy public support? We have no idea. I think she doesn't have that much public support, but she is positioned by the West as a champion of the public rights, the human rights and democracy and so on. When it comes to the Magsaysay Award, once again, there is a pattern, a track record in the recent past at least of the Magsaysay Award being used to prop up people who are agents of the West. So I'm not saying conclusively that Mr. Sonam Wangchuk is playing this role, but there is a strong indication that maybe he could possibly, potentially, hypothetically be doing that. Okay, so it looks like the West would like, what do I mean by the West? Well, the West is owned by the United States. So maybe they would like to create problems for India's national security and border security in the Ladakh region. Now, when it comes to Manipur, that's a whole different issue. Massive, what's the polite term? Mess up. It's a mess up on India's part. That's how I see it. Let me explain why. What is the problem in Manipur? See, in Manipur, there is definitely these clashes between two ethnic groups, the Kukis and the Meiteis. And there's also, so in Manipur, you have three major ethnic groups. The Nagas, the Kukis and the Meiteis. Now, the term Nagas is an umbrella term created by the British to designate various hill tribes who were eventually Christianized by the British and then by the Indian government, or with the help of the Indian government in the 20th century. The Kukis are another ethnic umbrella term to designate various ethnic groups, tribes. And very often these tribes don't even understand each other's language, but they are put under a single umbrella, Kukis or Nagas. Okay. Now, to understand the Manipur issue and what's happening there, you have to first ask yourself this question. We know Manipur has an ancient history. We have a record of kings that goes back at least 2,000 years, probably 3,500 years. We know, how do most people see Manipur? Manipuri dance. One of our major classical dance forms, right? So we have the Manipuri language with the Manipuri list of kings, and we have the Manipuri classical dance. Now we have to ask ourselves one simple question. Out of these three ethnic groups, Meiteis, Kukis, Nagas, which ethnic group has provided all the kings of Manipur in the past 2,000 plus years? The answer is the Meiteis. Which ethnic group is the speaker of what we call the Manipuri language? It is the Meiteis. Which ethnic group has given us Manipuri classical dance and Manipuri Natya, the various art forms of Manipur? Once again, it is the Meiteis. So who are the real Manipuris? It is the Meiteis. And also the Nagas, because the Nagas also have close blood relations with the Meiteis, and they have also been around as long as the Meiteis have been around. Now, who are the Kukis? If you look at the British records of 1900, around that time, census records of Manipur, how many Kukis were in Manipur? Less than 1%. Before 1850, there were 0 Kukis in Manipur. So the British brought the Kukis in from neighboring Burma. That's one thing. Why did they bring the Kukis in? To punish the Meitei kings for fighting the British, for fighting the British occupation of the region. In 1891, there was an Anglo-Manipuri war that the Meiteis lost, the Manipuris lost. And as a punishment for fighting that war, the British did two things. Firstly, they confined the Meitei people to about 5% roughly of the territory of the Kingdom of Manipur. Only 5%. Everybody is confined in that region, the Imphal Valley region. Secondly, they pushed in lakhs of Kuki, not lakhs, initially thousands, but eventually the trickle became a flow. So they settled these Kukis, these foreigners in Manipur. Okay? And after 1949, when Manipur becomes part of India, the Nehru government said, oh my God, the British did the right thing. We have to follow what the British did because British are superior to us. So it continued, Kukis continued. And in the past decade or so, or 15 years, I think lakhs of Kukis have come into the Manipur region because you can see the visible change in the satellite imagery. All these new villages cropping up like mushrooms out of nowhere. So this is an invasion of India. It's an invasion of Manipur from Burma. Who are the Kukis? Now we have to ask ourselves, who are the Kukis? Are they Burmese? Well, ask ourselves this question. Do the Kukis speak the Burmese language? No. Do the Kukis worship Burmese gods? No. Do the Kukis follow Burmese culture? No. The Kukis aren't even Burmese. They came from somewhere further east of Burma, Yunnan or somewhere in China, and they occupied the region that is currently the bordering regions of Manipur. They are not even Burmese. Some of the Kukis claim to be Jews, and they have settled in Israel. Bene Menashe. Some and the rest claim to be Christians. This is the issue. This is a foreign invasion and occupation of at least half of the state of Manipur. That is the Manipur problem. Now, how does this tie into geopolitics? Sheikh Hasina, about a year before she was ousted in this military coup, which was sponsored by Western powers, what did she say? She said that the United States its objective is to create an artificial Christian nation out of parts of India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar, Cookie Land for Christ. Project K. That is the Manipur issue. Why is Burma important? First of all, you want to have power projection everywhere. Secondly, Burma has massive resources of rare earth minerals. If you control these regions, you control the rare earths, and those can no longer be supplied to China. You see, there's an economic reason for things, there's a geopolitical reason for things. And so that's the situation. That is the Manipur issue.